Hello students, welcome back to my channel. This is Dipali, and in this session we will learn more about computer systems. In the previous session we have discussed what is computer, then what is the difference between data and information, what are the characteristics of computer, and what are the tasks that computer can do, as well as the input devices. So let's start the today's session. CPU. So what is CPU? As we know that CPU is central processing unit. Fine. What does it mean by central processing unit? That CPU is controlling all the things of your computer. So the CPU is the control center or brain of a computer. Who is taking the decision in the computer? CPU is taking the decision. So as we know that in the human body, brain is there. So what is the function of the brain? With the help of the brain we are able to take the decision. So in the similar case, in the computer, CPU is there, and with the help of the CPU your computer is taking the decisions. So CPU directs and governs all the processing that takes place inside the computer. Whatever the things is going on inside the computer, that is directed by and instructed by your computer. And who is instructing all these things? Your CPU is instructing. So the CPU consists of two components, that is ALU and CU, that perform specific operations. Fine. So both the things ALU and CU is used to perform the specific operation. As you know, without the brain we cannot think and proceed. So without the CPU a computer cannot take the decisions. So we can say that the central processing unit is the main component in the computer system for processing data and instructions. So without the CPU your computer cannot process the data and instructions. Fine. So it could be considered as the computing equivalent of human brain that takes all major decisions. As I told you, in the human body, human brain we are using for whatever the thinking we are making, whatever the decision we are taking, that with the help of our brain we are taking. So similarly, in the computer CPU is there, which is used to take all the major decisions, makes all sort of calculations, and directs different part of the computer function by activating and controlling the operation. So basically your CPU directs the other parts, keep what to do and how to do. Fine. Then it is a hardware device. What is the CPU? CPU is basically a hardware device, because in the computer we are having two type of devices, that is software devices and hardware devices. Software which we cannot touch and feel, the hardware which we can touch and feel. So CPU is your hardware component, which is having some major sub-components, that is control unit, arithmetic logic unit, registers, internal memory, and buses. So let's talk about ALU, that is arithmetic and logical unit. So all calculation and comparisons are made in this unit. Whatever the calculation we are doing, whatever the comparison we are making, by with the help of whom we are making in the computer? With the help of arithmetic logic unit we are making all those things. So the ALU performs the arithmetic like plus, minus, multiply and divide, and logical unit means the comparison operator, that is greater than, less than, greater than, equals to, less than, equals to. Fine. So these operations are some logical operations. Sent from the memory, perform specific operation like addition, subtraction or comparison, whatever it is, and the result is returned to the memory. So ALU is doing what kind of thing? ALU basically used for your calculation, that means arithmetic operations as well as logic operations. Fine. Then your ALU is a part of the CPU which processes and manipulates the data. Fine. Manipulates means making the changes in your data. So Next point is the result of the logical operators is either true or false and helps the computer in making the decision. So logical operator will always return you which kind of result, either true or false, and according to that your computer will take the decisions. Fine. So next is CU, that means control unit. So the CU controls the flow of data from input devices to make memory and from memory to output devices. That means basically what is the use of control unit is maintaining the flow. It is controlling the flow of data. Either your data is traveling from your input device to memory or from memory to your output device, because I told you you are going to enter the data with the help of input devices. So where it is storing, whatever the data you are entering, it is storing to the in some memory. Fine. So CU controls the flow of data from input device to memory first, and whatever the things you are processing with the help of CPU, that is also storing in the memory, and the result you are getting as a output device. So whatever the flow is over there from input device to memory and from memory to output device, it is maintaining by your control unit. Fine. Then it controls and guides the interpretation flow that manipulates all of data and information. So basically it is guiding the flow, which flow, which is maintaining all the data and information. So the control unit sends and receives signal from all parts of the computer, and this ensures all the processes take place at the right time and in the correct order. Fine. So it is ensuring that all the processes can take place at a right time. What is the meaning of this line? For example, when you are pressing the keys from your keyboard, so that means that time control flow is maintaining a flow, and it is seeing that whatever the data you are entering, that is going to the memory or not. Fine. So it does not actually process the data. Instead, it sends control signal to ALU and memory for carrying out the required operation. So it is maintaining only flow. It is not processing the data. It is maintaining only the flow. Fine. Next thing is registers. So what are the registers? These are high speed temporary storage area found in the CPU. So where you are able to find the register, you can find the register in the CPU, and registers are very fast. So register work as per the instruction given by the control unit, storing instructions and data immediately required for performing an information. So basically registers is the area which is inside the CPU, and this area basically the CPU is using for very frequent data access. So the CPU places the highest priority jobs or data inside register for faster execution or processing. Basically when CPU is interact with your memory, either it is random access memory or ROM memory or your hard disk, so it will take time to communicate with those particular memory. But when the highest priority jobs are there, so those instructions CPU is storing in the registers. Fine. So that it can communicate with the registers for fast execution. So register can be of different size. It's either 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit and so on. It's depending upon your computer system, whatever the configuration you are purchasing. Then each register inside the CPU has a specific function. There are different types of registers. We are not going to learn about all the registers in the details because it's out of scope of your syllabus. So basically, you must know that it is not a single type. There are different types of register who are having different types of jobs, like storing data, Fine. Storing instructions, storing address of a memory location, etc. We have to remember about the register, that a register is stored location found on the CPU where data or control information is temporarily stored. Fine. So whatever we are storing in the register, whatever the CPU is storing in the register, it is for the temporary basis only. Fine. So if you want to store your data permanently, CPU will not store your data in the registers. This particular memory is used by the CPU only and managed by the CPU only. You yourself cannot save the data in the registers. Fine. So next point is memory unit. So memory unit is used as a storage unit for a program as well as data. The memory can both primary and secondary depend upon its location in the computer system. So your primary memory can be either primary memory or secondary memory. Whatever the storage you are using, your memory can depends on them. So the primary or the main memory stores information. That information can be your data, can be your instructions, and the memory unit is basically divided into the two components. One is random access memory, that is RAM, and second is read only memory, that is ROM. So let's see what is RAM. As I told you, RAM stands for random access memory. Then RAM data is volatile. What is the meaning of volatile? The data is present till power supply is present. That means if your power is off, then your data will be erased from the memory. RAM data can be read, erased or modified. That means in the RAM we can perform read, write operations. Fine. We can also modify the data in the RAM memory. RAM is used to store data that CPU needs for current instruction processing. So RAM is storing which kind of data which is used by the or need by the CPU for processing the instruction which is going on in the current scenario. Then RAM speed is quite high. Fine. RAM is working fast and RAM is costly also. So this is the image of the RAM. I hope most of you have seen this RAM in the computer systems. So what all points you should remember about the RAM? That it is volatile in nature. That means data is present till power supply is present, and we can read, write and modify the data in the RAM, and we can also erase the data. Then it is used to store data CPU needs for the current instruction. It is high speed and cost of the RAM is also high. So let's talk about ROM now. What is ROM? ROM stands for read only memory. From the name it is clear, the data which we can only read. Fine. Not write, not erase, not modify. So ROM data is permanent. That means data remains even after power supply is not present. So ROM is non-volatile in your nature. Fine. ROM is non-volatile memory. No need to confuse about volatile and non-volatile. Remember, RAM is volatile and your ROM is non-volatile. So it is used to check basic hardware components such as booting, procedure of load operating system and frequently needed functions. So these all functions are storing in your ROM. So all the contents in the ROM can be accessed and read but cannot change. Why? Because it is read only memory. So as I am telling you, ROM is read only memory. So all the contents in the ROM can be accessed and read but cannot be changed. Fine. Then ROM speed is slower than the RAM, and your programs in the ROM have been pre-recorded. That means when you are pressing the start button for starting the system. Whatever the steps are there, how the system is loading, and these kind of steps, they are pre-recorded. So some instructions are there in the ROM also. So ROM is cheap, fine. As compared to RAM, ROM is less costly. This is the image of your ROM. I guess only few students have seen. So see what is ROM. So in the ROM, it can only be stored by manufacturer once and cannot be changed. So ROM, whatever is there, that is stored by the manufacturer only. Next memory which we will discuss about, cache memory. So internal memory can also called cache memory. Cache memory is a small memory that operates much faster than the primary memory or RAM. So cache memory is the very fastest memory, and it's very costly. Even the few MBs is for the few MB the user has to pay high. Then when the CPU requires certain data present in the RAM, it first sends the request to the cache, which stores recently used values. So कैश मेमोरी में होता क्या है, बेसिकली आपके फ़ोन में भी कैश होता है, ठीक है. आप कैश मेमोरी इरेज करते रहते हो टाइम टू टाइम. तो क्यों इरेज करते रहते हो? बिकॉज जो भी आपकी इंस्ट्रक्शंस होती हैं, जो भी आपका डेटा फ्रिक्वेंटली यूज़ होता है, बार बार यूज़ होता रहता है, उसको आपकी कैश मेमोरी स्टोर करती रहती है. फाइन. देन since it is placed between CPU and the main memory, that you must know कि where your cache memory has been placed. It is placed between the CPU and the main memory, so it makes it data available to the CPU very quickly by sending the data to the CPU instead of the main memory, because it is placed in between the CPU and the main memory, so CPU can interact with your cache memory fast as compared to other memory units. Fine. So data is moved from the register to internal memory when it is not being directly activated and used. So what we should remember? We should remember that cache memory is the small memory, but it operates faster than the other memories. Other memory means primary memory or RAM memory. Fine. And it is placed between the CPU and main memory. That points you must have to remember about the cache memory. Then next is units of memory. So the elementary unit of memory is bit. Whatever the things we are storing, that it is form of bit. Computer is converting in the bits. So a bit stands for the binary digit, and it can be either 0 or 1. You know na कि whatever the instructions we are giving in the computer is converting into the binary form. So that is an elementary unit of your computer memory. What is the elementary unit of your computer memory? That is bit. Fine. Binary digit. Combination of these bits together are used to store data and instruction. With the help of these binary digits, with the combination of these binary digits, your computer is used to store data and instructions. So 8 bit together form 1 byte. That is important, you must have to remember. And a group of 4 bits are called a nibble. Fine. So which is the smallest or elementary unit of your memory? That is bit. Next is computer memory units. So this table is there as it is shown. 1 bit means either 0 or 1. 1 can take a place at a time. We used to pronounce as bit. Its full name is also bits. 1 nibble equals to 4 bit, as I told you, that is nibble, and obviously its full name is nibble. 1 byte equals to 8 bits. We used to call it byte. 1 KB equals to 1024 byte. In short form, we are pronouncing it KB, but its full form is kilobytes. Similarly, 1 MB is equals to 1024 KB, that is MB, megabytes. 1 GB equals to 1024 MB, that is GB means gigabyte, TB means terabyte, then so on till scan byte. Fine, scan byte. So let's move to the next slide. Rest thing you can see, whatever the memory is up, it will equals to like if it is 1 TB, then it will equals to 1024 GB. We are talking about PB, that is petabyte, that it means it is 1024 of TB. Fine. Now what are output units? Output units is your basically output devices. So an output device is any piece of computer hardware equipment which converts information into human readable form. It can be text, graphics, audio and video. As I told you, first we are inputting the data with the help of the input devices. Fine. Then your data is being processed by the CPU. It is converting your data maybe into the binary form, that 0 and 1 form. But when the computer is going to give you the output, so that output is in information which is in the human readable form. So whatever the information is given by the CPU, whatever the output device is CPU is using, that information is human readable. That means human can easily read out that particular information, and that information can be in terms of text, graphics, audio and video. So output device produce the output generated by the CPU in the human readable form. This device can also be used to store the result for future use. So some of the output devices are there which is used to hold the result for the future use. So your output device is capable of presenting processed information from the computer, and your output devices are also known for the way in which the computer communicates with human. So fine, it is a way by which the computer communicates with the human. So what are the different types of output devices? First is VDU, that is virtual display unit. Fine, we are also called as monitor. If you are talking about this particular screen, you can see that it is the VDU. So a monitor is an output device that is responsible for receiving data from a computer and displaying the information as text or image for users to see. So what is the use of virtual display unit? It is used to display the data. Fine. So there are basically 3 types of monitors which we are using. First is CRT, that is cathode ray tube. Second is LCD, that is liquid crystal display. Third is LED, light emitting diode. Fine. In the CRT you have observed the previous monitor whose back is really huge. So CRT or cathode ray tube monitors typically monitor that you see on the desktop computer in the old time. So it looks like the television screen and also work the same way. So basically whenever you are switching on that particular monitor system, what used to happen, one laser beam is hit on your screen. That rays is coming from the cathode ray tube. So because of that, whatever you are seeing on the screen, that it is because of that particular rays. Afterwards your LCD displays has been come, that is mostly all of you are able to see in your computer labs. So these types of monitors are known as the flat panel monitor. Which monitors? LCD monitors. So most of these employ liquid crystal displays. So LCD screen or television screen is having the liquid crystal display, and it is smaller and lighter in weight as compared to CRT monitors, and hence ideal for use in laptops, palm tops and other portable devices. So your LCD screens are smaller and lighter in weight as compared to your cathode ray tubes, that is CRTs, and they are more popular display devices compared to CRT. Fine. So what is making it popular? Its smaller size and lighter weight, as well as its design. So the third one which I told you, that is LED, light emitting diode. So LEDs are small semiconductors that emit visible light when electrical current is passed through them. Fine. So these all about your three types of screens. Next is printer. Printer is an output device. All of you have seen the printer, I guess, that prints paper document. This includes text document, images, or a combination of both. We can print the text, we can print the images, as well as we can also print the text and images. So there are different types of printers that is classified into impact printer and non-impact printer. So what is the impact printer? Basically, impact printers include all printers that print by striking and ink ribbon. So that means in the impact printer, your printer is printing by striking and ribbon, and impact printer uses a print head containing a number of metal pins, and those pins are striking on the ink ribbon placed between the print head and the paper. So that means in the impact printer some pins are there, and those prints are striking on the paper for printing the things. So in the impact printer there are two types of printer I am telling you. First is dot matrix printer. Fine. So the dot matrix printer is an impact printer that prints using a fixed number of pins or wire. It prints one character at a time, and it uses dot to create an image. So basically dot matrix printer में क्या होता था? In the dot matrix printer was very popular at one of the time, and it was very versatile and inexpensive output device. In the dot matrix printer, your head, that means print head, printer का ऊपर head होता है ना, that is physically hits the paper through the ribbon and produce the text by combination of dots. Fine. So another printer was the line printer, which are having the high speed printers and capable of printing an entire line at a time. In the dot matrix printer, it is striking one character at a time. Fine. And it is uses dot to create the images, but in the line printer it is printing the entire line. Fine. And your printer can print 150 to 3000 line per minute. So the limitation of the line printer are they can print only one font, they cannot print graphics, and print quality is also low, and they are very noisy to operate. So dot matrix printers are basically very noisy to operate, and dot matrix and line printer comes under the impact printer. So that you must know what is the difference between impact printer and non-impact printer. The next thing is we are going to discuss about some impact printers. So instead of telling you inkjet printer first, I will tell you what are the non-impact printers. Non-impact printers that produce output on paper without striking the paper is known as non-impact printer. That means in this we are using electroelastic, inkjet or thermal technologies for printing, because in that previous printer, that is impact printer, we are using pins, and pins is used to strike on the paper head. Fine. But in the non-impact printer we are using some electroelastic, inkjet or thermal technology for printing. And first printer which comes under non-impact printer is inkjet printer. So inkjet printer print character by spraying pattern of ink on the paper from a nozzle or jet. So basically some of you have used the crayons that is having the spray also. In the spray you are used to fill the color and then spraying over the sheets. So similarly that kind of technology is used by the inkjet printer. It prints from nozzle having very fine holes from which a special made ink is pumped out to create a various letters and shapes. So it is not striking on the paper, it is spreading the ink on the paper or spraying the ink on the paper. So ink come out from the nozzle in form of the vapors. After passing through a reflecting plate, it forms the desired letter or shape. जैसे ही वो उस पर्टिकुलर ट्रे से पास हो रहा है, then you are able to get the proper letters and shapes. Fine. So next printer is your laser printers. So laser printers are a printer like to a computer producing good quality printed material by using a laser to form a pattern. So basically your laser printer uses a laser beam and dry powder ink to produce a fine dot matrix print pattern. So it can produce very good quality of graphics image as compared to your inkjet printers. So in the non-impact printers also, which printer is giving you the best result? Your laser printer is giving you the best result, but it is fast also, it is quiet also, and it can also produce 8 to 12 pages in a minute, but it is little expensive as compared to other printers. But if you want the good quality of your printout, you can go with the laser printer. Fine. So just move to the next output device, that is speakers. All of you know about the speakers. The speaker receives sound signal from a computer and then plays the sound signal, and thus we hear songs or music or any other videos. So with the help of speakers, we used to listen the sound. Fine. Next is plotters. What are the plotters? Plot karna means draw karna. So it is used for producing good quality image and drawings. Unlike printers, they support printing of large size papers. In the plotters, basically we are using the large size papers. In the printer we are using mostly A4 size sheets, but in the plotters we have to use the large size of papers. And instead of toner, in the printer we are having the toner in which ink is there. Plotter uses a pen, pencil, marker or another writing tool to draw multiple continuous lines onto paper rather than a series of dot like a traditional printer. So in the plotter we are having the different kind of tools, and using those tools we can draw the things on the paper. Fine. So your plotters are mainly used in which kind of computers? Computer aided design, CAD computers. And your plotters are most commonly used for producing detailed drawings such as electronic design, some parts of the electronic designs, and building plans. So your building plans design and electronic designs are required to print it on very large sheet of paper, so that you cannot print on the A4 size paper. So for that you have to use the plotters. Fine. For showing your all the details of your buildings, and whatever the electronics you want to design, that details you have to show on the big size of paper. So with the help of plotters you can use those particular things. Fine, student. Afterwards there are some different types of hardware devices also, like headphones are there. Headphones are commonly used for audio output device, sometimes referred to as the earphone, that plugs into the line out port of the computer and allow you to privately listen to the audio without disturbing anyone else. Most of you might be are having the headphones also, so you know what is the use of headphones. And one of the output devices is projector. Projector is also the output device that takes the image generated by the computer and reproduce them onto the screen, wall or the other surface. So projector, you have seen that in the school also projector is there, in the smart boards also projector is there. So what is the use of the projector? So it is used to display the screen on the wall or any flat surface. There we are using the different whiteboards. Fine. So that's all about this session. So the things which you have learned in this session is CPU. You have learned what is CPU, what is control unit, what is the use of arithmetic logical unit, what is the memory. Fine. And then different memory units, and finally the output devices. So I hope you have understood all the concept of this session. So if you like this session, just press the like icon, and if you have not subscribed the channel, just subscribe the channel, and you can also share this video with your friends. So students, thank you for watching. See you in the next class.